Thanks for tuning in to Teen Kids News. I'm Reed. Here's our top story for this week.
Throughout this season, we've been telling you about an organization that's on the front line in the battle against plastic pollution in our oceans. That organization is called Oceana. They're working hard to convince companies to reduce the plastic they use. For example, to change from bottles that are single-use to bottles that are reusable. But bottles are only one example. As we'll see in this clip, companies like Amazon use a different kind of plastic when they ship items.
This type of plastic is called plastic film, and it's not easily recyclable. Even Amazon says it is not accepted by most curbside recycling programs in the US. Plastic pollution is devastating our oceans, and plastic film is especially harmful for marine life.
With us again is a marine scientist from Oceana, Dr. Dana Miller. Welcome back.
Thanks, it's great to be here.
Why is plastic film especially harmful to marine life?
Well, unfortunately, all types of plastic are harmful to marine life. The ocean is literally choking on plastic pollution. And it's estimated that the equivalent of 2 garbage trucks full of plastic get dumped into the ocean every minute. But plastic film, this is the flexible plastic shopping bag type of plastic. This is really difficult to recycle, which means that it's more likely that this plastic is going to end up in our ocean. And this type of plastic is especially harmful to marine life and large marine animals in particular, because they might mistake it for food. For example, a turtle might see a plastic bag floating in the water and will think that it's a jellyfish. And when that turtle eats the plastic, that plastic can get clogged and stuck in the turtle's internal organs, which can be deadly for that animal. Plastic film can also drape across coral and seaweed at the bottom of the ocean, smothering this. So plastic film is really, it's nasty stuff for the ocean, and we need to move away from it.
Oceana played a major role in getting Amazon to reduce its use of plastic. Tell us about that.
Yeah, Oceana has been campaigning for years, pressuring Amazon to address its plastic problem. And since we first started calling for the company to reduce its use of plastic, some real progress has been made. The company has eliminated nearly all single-use plastic packaging in major markets like India and across Europe. And just recently, the company is phasing out plastic air pillows across its entire North American operation. So that's in the United States, and that's also in Canada and Mexico. You can expect to see no plastic air pillows in shipments from Amazon. And this is really great because plastic air pillows are made from that thin plastic film that's nasty for our oceans. So, and other types of plastic packaging used by the company is also plastic film. So this is really good news for the oceans.
How can we teens help?
Yeah, well, teens can help by voting with your wallet. Demand plastic-free packaging from the brands that you buy, the companies that you support. And you can also support Oceana and other organizations that are campaigning for a reduction in single-use plastic packaging. You can help save the oceans by becoming an Oceana wave maker at www.oceana.org/join.
What does a wave maker do?
A wave maker can support certain calls to action that our organization sends out. Sometimes we ask for everyone to sign on to a letter, and that letter could get sent to a company that we're campaigning on. For example, Coca-Cola, asking Coca-Cola for more reusable packaging and less single-use plastic.
I'm definitely going to check that out. Thank you for all this great information, Dr. Miller.
Thanks so much for having me on. It's been really great.
Imagine the impact we can make if we can get more companies to use less plastic, especially single-use plastic. If you're working on a project to reduce plastic, we want to hear from you. Write us here at info@teenkidsnews.com. Maybe we'll do a story on your project. For Teen Kids News, I'm Alexandra.
We've got lots more coming up on Teen Kids News, so stick around. And be sure to follow us on Instagram and subscribe to our YouTube channel so you never miss out on Teen Kids News. We'll be right back. There's a poem from the 1800s that holds a lesson that is probably even more important today. Of all sad words of tongue or pen, the saddest are these: it might have been. The lesson is not to let fear of failure keep us from taking advantage of opportunities. That's why we call this series, If at First You Don't Succeed,
Few products like to talk about their failures. But there's one product that not only doesn't hide its failures, it actually boasts about them, sorta. That product is WD-40. Basically, it's used to lubricate metal parts and to keep them from rusting. As Shakespeare famously asked in Romeo and Juliet, "What's in a name?" With WD-40, there's a lot in the name. The WD stands for water displacement. That's a way to keep metal from corroding. But it's the 40 that's relevant to us. It took the scientists at the company 40 tries to finally create the formula to work to their expectations, which means there were a lot of failed formulas, 39 to be exact. With If at First You Don't Succeed, I'm Emily for Teen Kids News.
I'm going to show you pictures of everyday objects. Your job is to figure out what they all have in common. Here we go. Circular saws, fire escapes, life rafts, windshield wipers, bulletproof vests, laser printers. Give up? They were all invented by women. I don't understand why people find that surprising.
The National Road Safety Foundation wants to make sure you know that speeding while driving is never a good idea. So they produced this video.
What can you do in 3 seconds? Text your mom. Laugh with friends. Hug family. Buckle your seatbelt. If you don't take the time to buckle up, your family, your friends, even your life could be gone in less than 3 seconds. Buckle up. You may not get a second chance.
Don't miss the other cool videos created by the NRSF. It's easy to see more. Simply like, follow, and subscribe to the National Road Safety Foundation. We'll be back with more Teen Kids News right after this. If instead of writing the essay for your college application, you'd rather babysit your annoying younger brother, watch reruns of SpongeBob, or go to the dentist, this story is for you.
No doubt about it, sitting down to write the dreaded college admissions essay is a huge challenge for many of us. To get some advice, we're joined by Dr. Cynthia Colon. She used to be an admissions officer. She's also the author of Be Committed, Get Admitted. Why do so many of us find writing the admissions essay so difficult?
Oh my goodness, great question. And I want to tell everyone, you are not alone. You've been trained and taught to write an English paper and a research paper. And for the first time, for most of you, this is the one time you're asked to reflect on who you are and what makes you unique, which most adults don't do themselves. So it's a tall order and it's quite intimidating. But hopefully I'm here to help make it fun and enjoyable.
Fun and enjoyable, not words that come to mind when it comes to essays. But let's give it a try. For example, is it okay to be a bit quirky, even funny, or should we play it straight?
Oh my gosh, no, please be quirky and funny. We love that. I just want you to remember that admission officers are reading essays for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, literally. So we want to imagine this person that we're reading about and that we're literally having lunch with. I want to imagine that I would actually really like to meet them in person because I can see them on the campus.
How much do we have to agonize over the essay? I mean, if we don't write a killer essay, is that going to kill our chances of getting into the college of our choice?
Well, I have some good news. The good news is your grades and your transcript matter the most. So that's what's going to get you your foot in the door. So if you've done your part and you've got the grades that you are happy with and you apply to a range of colleges, you're going to be admitted to, and you're going to have choices. So that's the good news. The thing that you should keep in mind for those of you who are applying to colleges that admit under 50%, or I dare say under 20%, the difference here is you've got to remember two things. One, 60 to 80% of that applicant pool, they are all equally academically qualified. So you really do need to use the essay for you to stand out. And the second point I just want to say out loud is that you have to think, if I want this admission person to put in time and effort to get to know me through my application, you've got to do your part. Put in the time and effort now and reap the benefits later.
Good to know. Thanks, Dr. Cologne.
Thank you. Have a happy day.
Sure, writing the college essay can be intimidating. The hardest part is probably just figuring out how to start. Here's some wise words from Arthur Ashe, a great tennis player who had to overcome a lot to win 5 Grand Slam titles. He advised, start where you are. Use what you have. Do what you can. Truly, you can't ask more of yourself than that. For Teen Kids News, I'm Athina.
There are some pretty unusual hotels in America, but this one has to be one of the most unusual. Called the Dog Bark Park Inn, it's located in north central Idaho. It has 2 rooms decked out with doggy decor, along with a gift shop and a visitor center. Guess this is a great place to stop for travelers who are dog tired.
Are you enjoying Teen Kids News? If so, tell us about it. Post a comment on our socials and you may see it included in an upcoming show. We just need your first name and your town or city. If you want to add a photo, great. Don't go away. There is still more Teen Kids News ahead. We can all use some tips on how to do our best in school. So check out our Make the Grade report.
Here's a way to improve your memory. Draw a picture. Researchers say we're more likely to remember something we've drawn than something we wrote down. For example, memorizing foreign vocabulary words. So for Spanish, in addition to writing that boy is niño, also draw a boy. Or to help remember that pomme is the French word for apple. Draw an apple. And you don't need to be an artist for this to work. Even a poor drawing will help you to remember. It's the act of drawing, not how good the picture is, that is, key. I'm Kristen, here to help you make the grade.
When you go to a theater, before the movie starts, you get to watch short clips of other movies. These are called trailers. But why call them trailers? After all, to trail is to follow. But film trailers precede the movie. They don't follow it. Well, we here at Teen Kids News wanted to find the answer to this etymological enigma. And guess what? Originally, those short previews played after the movie. The problem was, once the movie ended, most people left without watching the trailers. So someone came up with the bright idea of playing the trailer before the movie. Guess they weren't bright enough to change the name from trailers to something more appropriate. For Teen Kids News, I'm Ava.
It's time for another short break, but we'll be right back with more Teen Kids News, so stay with us. On our menu today is an easy recipe that you can make to impress your family and friends. Take a look.
If you want to impress your friends the next time you hang out, this recipe is an easy way to do it. Today we're making puff pastry apple tarts. Let's get started. I've picked out this Granny Smith apple here, but you can use Red or Delicious, Ginger Gold, whichever apple is your favorite. Granny Smiths that I use in this puff pastry tart are nice and tart. Gives it kind of an acidic crunch. It takes a little practice. I'm going to cut the apple directly in half, just on the side of the stem. You'll see how close I got to the seeds. Seeds here, no seeds here. The way we want to cut this apple is to cut in very thin slices. Of course, with the help of your parents, you too can do this. But make slices about 1/4 inch thick. A little bruising is fine on your apple. It just means it's a little sweeter. You want to put all of your apple slices into a bowl with water and lemon juice. This will keep them from turning brown. Once your apples are cut, you can start with the puff pastry dough. You can find this at your local grocery store, supermarket, wherever you go to find puff pastry dough. They come in big, long rolls just like this one, but we're only going to use about half. You can use the half for later. You want to cut the puff pastry dough into rectangles. I use a pizza cutter. It's safer than using a knife. You want to cut right down the middle of the puff pastry, making 2 halves, and then cut those halves into third. That makes 6 rectangles. You want to take these and move them over to your parchment-lined baking sheet. I line my baking sheets with parchment paper. It's easier to clean up. From there, our next step is to add the apples. You want to take the apples out of the water mixture and make sure to keep the excess off. Once you have the excess water shaken off, you want to take the apples and lay them individually shingled, which means one over the other, like a roof, onto the puff pastry dough. Just like this. Once you have your apples laid out, the next step is to brush the entire pastry, including the dough and the apple, with butter. I've melted about 1/2 stick of butter in a dish. Then you just paint just like you're painting a picture. You want to coat the entire pastry evenly so that it browns evenly once we cook it. The next step is my favorite. I have about 2 tablespoons of white sugar. I'm just going to sprinkle it over the apples and the puff pastry. This will create kind of a crust and make the apples a little sweeter. This is definitely a dessert you want to show your friends. Once the apples are coated in butter or sugar, it's time for them to cook. I'm going to place them in an oven about 350 degrees for about 15 to 20 minutes, or until they're golden brown. Now our apple tarts are done and they're cool and they smell great. Don't they look delicious? For Teen Kids News, I'm Fletch.
Well, that's our show for this week. Tune in here for more Teen Kids News next week, or catch us anytime on our socials. See you then.